Each woman's mount was positioned the same. The numbers written on their foreheads were still visible on the completed mounts. "These women's bodies?" I asked. "Have they been found?" Ball shook his head. "No, never found."
"When did they go missing?"
Beth asked.
"All 4 within the last 3 weeks, and all from the Louisville area. None of the women were taken from the same locations, though,"
Ball said. "The locations and the way they were taken?" I asked. "What do we know there?"
"Seemed they were all alone, at night. Opportunity, I guess. 2 women."
Ball looked through his file.
"Kelly Page and Tricia Floyd were last seen at bars. Vehicles found nearby, where they'd parked, we assume. Jennifer Pascoe was last seen leaving a party and walking back to her residence. The last and most recent, April Backer. We don't know. She lived alone and disappeared sometime between when she got off of work at a restaurant and when she was to report to work the next day. Her vehicle was found on the side of the road with a flat. No other information there."
"Tell me about the flat," I said. "A legit flat tire or punctured?"
"That's as much as I know," Ball said. "There are some files from the missing persons divisions that were handling these girls when they went missing. The papers are in the backs of your file folders there," Ball said. "You might want to touch with them on that."
I nodded and flipped the page in the file. The letter from the killer came next. As Ball had said, it was typed. I took a minute and read it over. The gist of it was that he'd killed 4 women and planned to continue killing women until he perfected his method. A few a week, he said. The reasoning behind him sending the photos to the newspaper was to let their families know that the women were dead and that they shouldn't waste any more time searching or hoping for their return. He said he'd send another package when he was ready. The bottom of the letter was signed, "The Sportsman." "The Sportsman?" I asked. Ball shrugged. "He named himself, apparently."
"Any record of the name in anything we have?"
Beth asked.
"No. The closest thing we had was some nut back in the 80s that the media had dubbed the Trapper on account of his occupation as a fur trapper," Ball said. "The guy is still alive, albeit in prison with another 100 years or so remaining on his sentence. The guy operated out of the St. Louis area. He kidnapped a couple of young women and then killed them after hanging on to them for a month or so. He dumped their bodies in the river a few miles from his house. There isn't anything to tie this guy to what we're looking at here.